Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. I am so incredibly thrilled to have you here today. We're going to be exploring a topic that is just completely mesmerizing. The Sak Yant. If you've ever traveled to Southeast Asia, or, even just watched a Hollywood action movie in the last couple of decades, you've definitely seen these incredible, intricate geometric tattoos. But there's this fascinating dual nature to the tradition. On one hand, it's a profoundly beautiful, deeply spiritual practice steeped in literal ancient magic. But on the other, it intersects with some very real, very modern public health realities.
So, let me ask you something right off the bat. Would you risk a lifelong illness for a sacred blessing? I know, it sounds a bit dramatic, but it perfectly frames the central tension we're going to unpack today. We've got ancient spiritual protection colliding head-on with modern medical reality. And it's a choice that thousands of spiritual seekers, fighters, and tourists unwittingly navigate every single year.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap for today. First, origins of the sacred ink. Second, magic, meanings, and rules. Third, monks, Ajarns, and artists. Fourth, the hidden health risks. And finally, tradition meets modern safety.
All right, part one. Origins of the sacred ink.
To really understand Sak Yant, you have to realize that this practice is way older than the modern borders of Thailand or Cambodia. The evolution starts way back in the 9th century, during the Khmer Empire. It was this powerful spiritual cocktail blending animist beliefs, Brahmanism, and early Buddhism. By the 1600s, during the Ayutthaya Kingdom, warriors were actually getting tattooed with these yantras as talismans to grant them invincibility on the battlefield. Fast forward to 2003, and the legendary masters Khom inks the famous Taew and Angelina Jolie, and almost overnight, this ancient Southeast Asian battlefield tradition just explodes into global pop culture fame.
But here's something that surprises a lot of people. If you look closely at a Sak Yant, the text isn't actually readable to most modern locals. It doesn't use modern Thai or Cambodian. Instead, it relies on ancient Pali, which is the liturgical language of Theravada Buddhism, along with Khom scripts from the Khmer Empire and Lanna from northern Thailand. These aren't just everyday words, they function as coded prayers and blessings. It literally takes Sak Yant masters years of dedicated study just to learn how to read and write these ancient magical languages. Moving right along to part two, magic, meanings, and rules.
Because getting the tattoo is really only half the story. The specific design you choose dictates everything. The magic's incredibly precise. Each design maps directly to a distinct spiritual power. Take the Taew, or 5 lines. It's one of the most recognized designs out there, offering comprehensive protection and good fortune. Then you have the golden swan, or Hong Q, representing grace while attracting success and charm. Meanwhile, the centipede offers practicality, balance, and invulnerability. The master actually imbues these specific virtues right into the design through chanting and ritual.
But here's the catch, and it's a big one. Think of a Sak Yant as a spiritual battery. Your behavior? That's the charger. The magic relies entirely on the wearer's moral conduct. The core rules are fundamentally rooted in the 5 precepts of Buddhism. You must not kill, steal, be unfaithful, lie to harm others, or lose control through intoxication. Plus, you must never disrespect your parents or elders. If you break these moral codes, it's believed the magic simply fades away.
And beyond those core moral precepts, things can get wonderfully weird depending on the specific lineage of your master. For example, the famous Wat Bong Phra lineage has some amazingly quirky rules. You're strictly told not to eat starfruit, you can never eat leftovers, and whatever you do, avoid ducking under tiny banana trees. Now historically, Wat Bong Phra was a training center for young novice monks, so it's highly likely these super specific rules were originally just intended to keep mischievous kids in line, but they've been passed down through the generations as sacred requirements.
How cool is that?
Which brings us to part 3, monks, Ajarns, and artists.
So who actually wields the needle and bestows these blessings? Well, we have 2 very distinct paths here. On one side, we have the traditional monks and Ajarns. An Ajarn is often a former monk who has truly mastered the esoteric arts. They carry deep spiritual authority. They use traditional hand-poke metal tools. But, and this is a major but, they often operate in environments with significantly lower medical hygiene standards. On the flip side, we have the modern tattoo artist. Their spiritual authority can vary, though a lot of them have studied under Ajarns. They might use modern machines or traditional hand-poke methods, but they bridge the gap by adhering to high, hospital-grade hygiene standards, which actually sets us up for a pretty serious reality check.
And that leads us to part 4, the hidden health risks.
We're making a hard pivot here from spiritual exploration straight into clinical public health reality.
When professional tattoo safety experts actually approached traditional practitioners about upgrading their sterilization equipment, one of the responses was literally this: "If you believe in magic, then you shouldn't worry about the danger. The yant will protect you from that." Talk about a clash of worldviews, right? It perfectly highlights the intense friction between ancient traditional faith and the uncompromising realities of modern medicine. But modern medicine absolutely has the receipts here. Just think about the stark reality of transmission risks from a single contaminated needle stick. Hepatitis B sits at a staggering 30%. Hepatitis C is at 7%. HIV is at 0.4%. Now keep in mind, getting a tattoo isn't a single needle stick. A typical Sak Yant requires around 3,000 rapid strikes. That deeply magnifies these single-stick risks with every single puncture of the skin. And this isn't just theoretical fear-mongering. Listen to this number, 5.74. A massive medical meta-analysis published in Clinical Infectious Diseases found that getting tattooed in a non-professional setting results in a 5.74 times higher odds of hepatitis C infection. 5.74 times. That is a massive public health red flag for anyone walking into an unregulated, unsterilized environment. The mechanics of how bloodborne pathogens can spread in these traditional settings is honestly a little terrifying. Hepatitis C can survive outside the body in a wet environment for up to 6 weeks. It takes an infinitesimally small amount of blood, just 0.04 thousandths of a liter, to actually transmit the virus. And in traditional temple settings, needles are often just resting in alcohol between uses. Newsflash, alcohol does not kill bacterial spores. Worse yet, practitioners are often repeatedly dipping that same needle into shared communal ink containers and using the exact same wiping cloths across multiple devotees all day long.
So, let's look at the solution in Part 5, Tradition Meets Modern Safety.
The really good news here, you absolutely do not have to choose between a profound spiritual experience and your long-term health. If you're planning to get a Sak Yant, here is exactly what you need to look for before you sit down. First, verify that single-use needles are taken out of a sealed package and opened right in front of you. Second, ensure that individual ink portions are poured fresh just for you, and that those cups are never reused. Third, look around for visible, hospital-grade autoclave sterilization equipment for any reusable tools. And finally, confirm that the studio holds a current, valid health authority license. Legit facilities will actually welcome these questions.
Because here is the ultimate takeaway you need to remember. Safety does not erase authenticity. The spiritual power of a Sak Yant comes from the ancient geometry, the deep meaning of the symbols, and your own personal connection and moral conduct. It does not come from accepting preventable medical risks. Professional safety protocols and deep spiritual significance can absolutely coexist. Which brings us to our final thought for today. In the 21st century, does modern safety dilute ancient magic, or does it simply preserve the vessel that carries it? It's such a fascinating question to ponder as this 1,000-year-old tradition continues to evolve in our very modern world. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, stay curious, and I'll catch you on the next one.